so we promise we'll keep it short. For those who don't know me, I'm Mela. I'm the campaign manager, so I'm the person who's keeping the train on the tracks. And I will say that this is my second time working for Elissa Slotkin. The first time was in the Pentagon, where I watched her, decide what we were going to do after the Russians invaded Ukraine. And now I'm seeing her do something even more difficult, which is try to win as a Democrat here in Rochester. So I was just talking to Elissa earlier, and we were reflecting on how this has been now like a full year since we launched this thing. A full year since she was sitting around her kitchen table with her husband, Dave, who's here in the back, I think, and talking about what it would mean to run for Congress. And over the last year, we have seen so much support in communities across the 8th District, including here in Rochester. This is far and away the biggest event we've had for any of our office openings. And I'm happy to report that we now have 3 field offices open here in Rochester, in Clarkston, and over in Lansing. We have over 1,000 volunteers signed up as part of the campaign. Every single week we have 13 different field activities happening. We have phone banking, we have canvassing, we have women-to-women phone calls where folks come in every single week and they call down a list together and kind of make a party out of it. So we really have a lot of activity going on, and we absolutely need folks here in this room to help us by signing up. I would say the most common question I get as the campaign manager is, what can I do to help the campaign? Which is my absolute favorite question to hear. And what I'll say is our response is something we call the 3 M's: money, message, and mobilization. So number 1, money. That one's pretty self-explanatory. That means, support to help us buy yard signs, buy buttons, buy posters, all the things that we need to spread our message around the district. The second one, message, means picking up Elissa's message, the message of this amazing candidate, and telling your friends, telling your neighbors, posting about her on social media, so that folks who don't know about Elissa yet, or maybe aren't that interested in politics, get to know more about her. And 3, mobilization. Mobilization is what's happening right now at this very moment in this room, which is a huge number of people coming out for common cause. So thank you for already doing number 3, and we hope that you're able to keep doing this for the next 5 months. In the back of this room here, there is a room back in the back corner filled with maps, filled with sheets, all about phone banking, canvassing, the different shifts that we need filled. And what I would ask is, if you like what you hear tonight, I'd ask that you go back into that room and sign up for at least 1 shift. That would go an enormous way if everybody here signed up to give us 2 hours of time between now and the primary on August 7th. All right, that's all from me. It's my pleasure.
Sorry, I know it is extremely sweaty. I feel it myself, people, but it is awesome that we've had this many people show up to this event in one of the toughest parts of the district. It's a great statement. Just to make sure you're hanging out in the right hallway, I am Elissa Slotkin. I'm running for Congress in Michigan's 8th District. Here it goes from Rochester, Rochester Hills, Lake Orion, Holly, Clarkston, all of Livingston, and all of Ingham County, right? Lansing and East Lansing. It's a big gerrymandered district, right? It's a big sort of oddly shaped district. I grew up in Oakland County exclusively. When I was a little girl, I was in Holly, and then my parents got divorced. I moved all around Oakland County. But my entire background is in national security. As you heard from Mela, she worked for me at the Pentagon, but my entire experience was based on the fact that I happened to find myself on my 2nd day of grad school at Columbia University in New York City when 9/11 happened. Wow. So tell me who in this room remembers exactly where you were and what you were doing on 9/11, right? You know exactly what you were doing. That day for me was formative. By the end of the day, I knew that I was going to do national service as a career. Within a year of that, I was recruited by the CIA to be a Middle East analyst. And within a year of that, I was voluntold, as we say, to go to Iraq, right? So I put on my body armor, I was trained in a Glock and an M4, and I went out with our military to try and understand the organizations that were shooting at us and plotting against the U.S. homeland. I went back and forth to Iraq 3 times. I would go and come back and go and come back. On my 3rd tour, I met my husband, who is somewhere in this, there he is, there's his hand. We have boy meets girl in Saddam's Republican palace. our first date at the Chow Hall, which he calls the all-you-can-eat buffet. We have 2 stepdaughters. One is a brand new Army officer, and the other one is a physician for the VA. So we're service people. And the clearest explanation I can give you for why I am running is because the tenor and tone of politics are fundamentally unbecoming of the country that I serve and the country that we all love. Because I was a civil servant in national security, I worked for both Republicans and Democrats, proudly, right? I served the Bush administration, I served the Obama administration. And it's because of that background of working proudly for both administrations that I know that what's going on right now is different. It is different, right? So I started thinking about running. And I will tell you, I was reticent to get in because of money in politics, right? It is as insidious as you think. It is expensive. Mr. Bishop, who we're running against here, he and his allies spent about $3 million last cycle to win this race. So that's the order of magnitude. But I got in this race in May of last year, and it is because of something very personal, which is my mom's story, my mom's struggle with healthcare. My mom died in 2011 of ovarian cancer, and when she was diagnosed, she did not have healthcare. She let it lapse. She had struggled her whole life because she had breast cancer as a very young woman, a young mom. When she was diagnosed, she did not have insurance. So that experience that so many people have had of the day you get that terminal diagnosis for a loved one and your life just explodes, that's the same week that she needs tests and emergency surgery and all of that. And that's the same week where, they would not do her tests without thousands of dollars in checks, without thousands of dollars charged to the credit card. So when I turned on the TV a year ago and I saw Mr. Bishop, and if people remember this, there was a Rose Garden ceremony. The House of Representatives was celebrating the repeal of health care with no replacement. Something just broke for me. And I knew that this was just not okay. You do not get to do this. You don't get to ignore your constituents, right? Because he doesn't meet publicly. You don't get to ignore your constituents, vote against their interests, and keep your job. In the military context, this would be called dereliction of duty. Right? So, it's a fireable offense, dereliction of duty, and so we are in the process of firing him, and we are going to do that together. As you heard from Mela, we have over 1,000 people signed up to volunteer. That is crazy, people. That is a big number. And what I hear over and over again in Rochester, in North Oakland in general is, hey, I've come out because I'm the only one in my neighborhood who thinks things aren't going well. Right? But the truth is, we've heard from so many of you in those same neighborhoods who just don't happen to know that, hey, my neighbor down the street is actually concerned about the direction of the country. Hey, my neighbor around the way actually wants to get more from their local elected officials. That we've been able to marry people from communities just like this. And that is what we're doing here tonight, right? Walking in and seeing this many people in Rochester come out for a good Midwestern Democrat is a point to be made, right? It is a sight to see, and I appreciate that. Over half of our volunteers, of that 1,000, have never done anything political in their entire life. Can I just get a show of hands? Who is here doing a political anything for the first time? First or second time? Okay. Guys, that's amazing, right? That means, that is great. That is great. And that means something is happening on the ground, right? That is how you know, because it's not just the kind of hardcore folks who are political every day of their lives. It's people who are just saying enough is enough. Our fastest growing category of volunteer are Republican and swing women over 50 in Oakland County. Amen. Right? Yeah. I know many of you, many of these women are here. Many of them have opened their homes, like Kathleen, and introduced us their whole community of friends. These women are powerful and brave, and we should welcome them with open arms into our campaign. Yes. All right, so Mela mentioned it. If you want to know what you can do, it is sign up to do 2 volunteer events before August 7th. That's it. You can do it on your phones. You can pull out your phones, go to our website, Elissa for Congress, press on events, and you will get a whole bunch of things that you can sign up for on a weekly basis. You are a door knocker, go knock doors. You don't want to go near a door, get on a phone. You don't want to go near a phone, there's some postcards you can write. There are plenty of things that you can do. But I cannot tell you, sorry? Oh, yes, sorry, yard signs. If everyone here took a yard sign home with them today, we would absolutely blow away, I think, our communities by showing the strength of our campaign. So please take a sign home, take a couple of your Stone Klein, give them to a neighbor. Thank you for coming out. Thank you for your energy. I know there are folks here, can I just give a round of applause for our teachers who are in the room? For some awesome teachers that I met at like a happy hour a year ago who are here. It's awesome, it's awesome. Thank you for your energy. Thank you for being engaged citizens. I will tell you that Washington is not going to change itself. It will be good and decent people who believe that our country is a better place than this, who believe in civility and in just putting your nose down and getting something done. We will tell Washington how they can be better. I appreciate your time. I appreciate your energy. Thank you very much for coming out.
Learn more about opportunities that you can sign up for. I want everybody here to think really critically about the role of precinct captains in this election. If you're a precinct captain for Elissa Slotkin, can you raise your hand? Woo! Oh, wow. There are a lot. There are so many. For folks who are wondering, what the heck is that? This entire district is divided into more than 300 precincts. So it kind of means like a small piece of the district. And I'm going to ask one of our superstar precinct captains to come up here just for 1 minute and make just a remark or two about what that means.
So you got the big picture, what's going to happen in Washington, D.C., what's going to happen here in Rochester, Michigan, Rochester Hills, Clarkston, all over Oakland County. The precinct is the teeniest, tiniest portion of voters. It's on your voter card. Find out what your precinct is. Sign up to be a precinct captain. It is not hard. I've never, ever done anything political in my whole life. I put out my first yard sign for Hillary last year, probably on like October 15th. For 2 years, yeah. So since then, I've marched, I've called, I've written, I've emailed, and now I'm showing up. And I am like, this is therapeutic for me to knock on doors, talk to people, find out what their issues are, and we need a change. Like, holy. People are nice when you knock on their door. Some people don't want to share. Some people don't say much. But no one has slammed the door in my face. No one has called me any names. It's not hard.
Tell them which precinct you're in.
I am Rochester Precinct 1. I knock all the doors of Mike Bishop's neighbors. There are many of them here today. It is interesting to find the people who say, like, oh, I thought I was the only Democrat in Rochester. And I'm like, no, your neighbor 2 doors down and your neighbor this way. The more you know, the more you know. And, it is very
empowering.
Empowering.
Really good at what you do. You came to my house a month ago, and that's why I'm here. So if you have any questions, I'll be here until the end, and I'd be happy to.
Precinct captains, and I'm hoping that 25 are in this room right now.
All right. I think that's